Now students, let us understand the part or role of accessory ducts. So now see, we have already observed the structure of testis, internal structure of testis, role of certain hormones, and now we will discuss about the role of accessory ducts. Now talking about accessory ducts, if you see the main accessory duct which receives the vasa efferents, let's say this is a testis, right? And testis is having a mediastinum from where vasa efferents opens into a very highly coiled part called as epididymis. See, this is epididymis. So this is testis. From here, this let's say vasa efferents, which collects the sperm and transfer it to the epididymis. So accessory duct में जो सबसे पहला है वो है epididymis. Now it is very highly coiled tube. Okay, so it is very highly coiled tube like this. Very highly coiled. Now it is epididymis is 6 meter long. So you can imagine it that how much long it is. Epididymis. Okay, it is 6 meter long tube. Now epididymis is divided into 3 parts, right? The first part is called as caput or caput epididymis. The middle part is referred as corpus epididymis, and the posterior part, which is least coiled, this is highly coiled. Corpus one is highly coiled, and the last one, which is cauda epididymis, is least coiled part. Okay. Now students, when the sperm is received, right, vasa efferents delivers the sperm to epididymis. Okay, sperm which is produced by germinal cell. Now this epididymis undergoes storage of the sperm, right? So sperm is stored for approximately, it can be stored up to 1 month, right? So over here, what is the main function of epididymis? Storage of sperm, right? Up to approx 1 month, right? Okay. So students, this is the main part. What is the function of the epididymis? Now it also undergoes, sperm also undergoes functional maturation. Okay, over here undergoes functional maturation. Okay, now see over here, epididymis itself is a coiled tube, right? So it is highly coiled and it is made up of 2 things: outer circular muscles, outer circular muscles, right? Okay, and inner epithelium. Okay, same is the histology of the vasa deferens, which extends from the cauda epididymis. Remember this. Okay, so this is about the epididymis. The most important is the sperm undergoes functional maturation at this part. So you have to remember it, right? In previously we have seen how the sperm is produced and how it is traveled, right? Vasa efferents collects the sperm from ready testis to and deliver it to the epididymis. Epididymis is 6 meter long tube. See, this we have shown epididymis. After that, right, cauda epididymis terminates into a tube called as vasa deferens, right? Now this is vasa deferens. Okay. So if you think vasa efferents, right? Sorry, vasa deferens. It is 30 centimeter long tube, right? It is not that much coiled. See, you can see it. It goes up, that is, it passes through inguinal canal to abdominal cavity where it loops, and then over here it dilate as an portion. So at both places it is dilated, and that part is referred as ampullary region. Okay. So first let me clean this, and then we will see about the vasa deferens. Okay. See, now talking about the vasa deferens. Okay, vasa deferens is 30 centimeter long tube, and it is also having two layers. Outer one, as I said, in epididymis, outer one is always a circular muscle, right? So it is made up of muscles. So outer circular muscles, and inner is, I said, as epithelium. So see, this is the histology. Now talking about the vasa deferens pass through abdominal cavity where it loops, right? Where it loops. I said you, as it is seen also in the diagram, it passes through inguinal canal and it loops, right? This vasa deferens passes to abdominal cavity, loops and dilate, and dilated portion is referred as ampulla. What it is called? Ampulla. Now see, this ampulla is a place where seminal vesicle also opens up. So we can write over here what opens up into the ampullary region. So seminal vesicle. Okay. Now if when the seminal vesicle opens, after that this duct is called, when seminal vesicle opens into the ampulla, it is called ejaculatory duct. What it is called? Ejaculatory duct. Yes. So now see, this is ampulla where the seminal vesicle is getting opened. We have labeled it to ejaculatory duct, right? And this ejaculatory duct opens into prostatic urethra. Okay, prostatic urethra. Okay, so this is the pathway. Now this is the prostatic urethra. See, now let me explain it. The entire pathway, right? Sperm were produced in the germinal, by the germinal epithelium, right? By the germ cells. They were cuboidal in nature. That cells produced the sperm which passed to the tubuli recti, to reti testis to vasa efferens to epididymis to vasa deferens to the ejaculatory duct and up to prostatic urethra. So sperm is moving. So by which activity the sperm travels, right? So the activity is of epididymis and vasa deferens. that is pulsation activity, and vasa deferens undergoes pulsation activity. Okay, and this pulsation activity helps to transfer the sperm, right, or transport the sperm. So this is about the entire topic. This urethra, prostatic urethra, extends and finally opens at the tip of the penis, right? Prostatic urethra extends, right, and this opens at the tip of the penis, right? We are going to discuss about the accessory glands, that is Cowper's gland, prostate gland, and seminal vesicle. But this prostatic urethra opens into tip of penis called tip of the penis. Now see, this is actually prostatic urethra that is extending into urethra, and urethra opens into at the tip of the penis. So are you clear with this? Now we will discuss about the certain accessory organs as well as the structure of the penis. Okay, चलिए बच्चों, अभी हम देख लेते हैं थोड़ा यूरेथ्रा और पेनिस के स्ट्रक्चर के बारे में. देखिए यहाँ पर जो यूरेथ्रा है, राइट, यूरेथ्रा स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम द यूरिनरी ब्लैडर, राइट. तो यहाँ पर इट एक्सटेंड्स एंड वेयर इट जॉइंट्स विद द इजैक्युलेटरी डक्ट. यहाँ से जैसे यूरेथ्रा स्टार्ट हुआ है तो यानी कि यूरिन भी वही लेके आता है. सो यूरेथ्रा एक्सटेंड्स फ्रॉम और स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम यूरिनरी ब्लैडर, राइट. तो यहाँ पर हम सबसे पहले क्या लिखेंगे, यूरिनरी ब्लैडर. ये आपको दिख रहा है, ये क्या है, यूरिनरी ब्लैडर, जहां पर यूरिन कलेक्ट होता है, राइट. ओके, सो यूरिनरी ब्लैडर में से यूरेथ्रा जब निकलता है तो यूरेथ्रा एक्सटेंड्स अप टू द टिप ऑफ द पेनिस, राइट. सो इसमें तीन पार्ट है. अगर सबसे पहले व्हेन इट जॉइंट्स विद द इजैक्युलेटरी डक्ट, राइट, तो उसमें सबसे पहला जो आता है यहाँ पर, उसमें क्या जॉइंट होता है, यहाँ पर इजैक्युलेटरी डक्ट, ओके, विच इज फॉर्म्ड बाय, ये जो वासा डेफरेंस था और सेमिनल वेसिकल जहां पर कंबाइन होते हैं वहां पर जो डायलेटेड पोर्शन एंटर द एम्पुलरी रीजन, और जैसे ही सेमिनल वेसिकल एंटर होता है उसके साथ ज्वाइंट होता है तो उसको हम बोलेंगे इजैक्युलेटरी डक्ट. नाउ सी दिस इज हैविंग थ्री पार्ट्स, राइट. वन इज प्रोस्टेटिक urethra, right. Second one is membranous part, and the last one is penile part. Okay, so see, this is three urethra, three parts we have divided into it. So ये पूरा जो यूरेथ्रा है उसको तीन पार्ट में डिवाइड किया गया है. प्रोस्टेटिक यूरेथ्रा इज 2.5 सेंटीमीटर, इवन मेम्ब्रेनस यूरेथ्रा इज आल्सो 2.5 सेंटीमीटर, while the penile part is itself 15 centimeter long. Okay, now see, it opens, this opens at tip of the penis, that is called as glans, right. जो टिप पार्ट रहता है पेनिस का उसको ग्लैंस पेनिस बोलते हैं, तो वहां पर ओपन होता है. द मेन फंक्शन ऑफ यूरेथ्रा इज टू कंडक्ट स्पर्म, यूरिन and secretion of accessory glands, so these are the main functions of the urethra. Now talking about the penis, right. Penis is an external genitalia of male, right. It is an external genitalia. Now it is erectile in nature, right. It is erectile in nature. Why it is so? If you take the transverse section of the penis, you can see a structure like this, in which there are two yellow fibrous ligamentum that are called as corpora cavernosa, and one, these two are posterior, this is referred as corpora cavernosa, and one large corpora spongiosum, right. So these are two tissues. Okay, this and this, corpora cavernosa and corpora spongiosum. Corpora spongiosum is surrounding the urethral canal. So in the center of it there is urethral canal. If we take the TS, right, if we cut the part, you can see the structure like this. Now why it is erectile, right? So corpora spongiosum, right, during the erection or sexual arousal, blood rush into arteries, right, of this corpora cavernosa spongiosum. This corpora spongiosum is highly vascular, spongy and highly vascular. Okay, so it is also aided by the erectile muscle of the penis. So this becomes enlarged, right? So it is called as erection. That part is referred as erection. So spongy and highly vascular. Now talking about corpora cavernosa. Okay, corpora cavernosa is yellow fibrous ligament. So there are three tissues, two corpora cavernosa, 1 and 2, and one corpora spongiosum. So yellow fibrous ligamentous. Okay, so this is about the internal structure of the penis. Now if you think, the tip part is somewhat dilated, that is called as glans penis, which is highly sensitive. See, this part is highly sensitive and it is covered by a folded skin, called as prepuce. What it is called? Prepuce. Okay, and this part receives the urethra opening, right? So that we have already discussed. So what is the activity of the penis? Penis is external genitalia which delivers the sperm into the vagina of female. So it is organ of copulation, right? We can say it because it delivers the sperm. It delivers the sperm into vagina of female. Okay. Next is, it also helps to pass out the urine because urine also moves through the same. So in case of male, you can say urinogenital duct, right? But in case of female, it is totally different. So remember this. You can use this term in male, urinogenital duct. So this was all about the organs. Now we will discuss about the glands of the male reproductive system. Now we will discuss about the accessory reproductive glands, right? So there are basically three accessory reproductive glands, we can say it. One is a pair of seminal vesicles. There is only one prostate gland, it is not occurring in pair, as well as a pair of Cowper's gland, right? These three glands we will discuss it one by one, right, and detail. As it is not given more in NCERT, we will discuss it with need. So see over here, the first one is seminal vesicle. Now seminal vesicle develops or is formed from Wolffian duct. See, if you think about the vas deferens as well as the other ducts, right? Okay, vas deferens is also formed from Wolffian duct, right? So this is, you have to remember. Epididymis and vas deferens are also formed from Wolffian duct of the embryo. Same way, seminal vesicle is also formed from Wolffian duct of embryo, right? Embryonic time there is a duct which is referred as Wolffian duct, and from that only it has formed the seminal vesicle. Now if you see, so over here there will be 2F is Wolffian. Okay. Now if you think about the seminal vesicle, it is internally lined by glandular epithelium. Okay, it is internally lined by glandular epithelium. See, this is a big thing. Why? Because this glandular epithelium secretes seminal fluid. Okay, so internally if you see, it is occurring in pair. Remember, seminal vesicle is occurring in pair. Internally it is lined by glandular epithelium. This glandular epithelium secretes seminal fluid. Okay, this seminal fluid makes right, seminal fluid makes 60 to 70% of semen. Semen includes sperm as well as the secretion of accessory reproductive glands like seminal vesicle as well as prostate gland that is combined to form a semen. Right, the secretion of seminal vesicle, prostate gland as well as sperm. So basically entire semen 60 to 70% part is of seminal fluid. Next big thing about this, the pH of seminal fluid is 7.3. The pH of seminal fluid is 7.3. And the third thing about it, right? What is its composition? So basically seminal fluid is lubricating, transparent and jelly-like substance. So it is lubricating, okay, then jelly-like and transparent fluid. So this is the basic thing. See, its pH is somewhat alkaline, right? 7.3. So this will also helps to neutralize the vaginal acidic medium. Now in this case, if you see, the composition includes mainly seminal fluid, includes mainly a fuel for sperm, that is it provides the energy, that is fructose. Fructose is present and which is acting as fuel to sperm, that is providing energy. With it there are many things, for example citrate, inositol, then next one is proteins and fibrinogens, okay, and prostaglandins. Okay, so basically this is all about the seminal vesicle and the secretion of seminal fluid. So you have to note this down. This is not given in the NCERT textbook, so please note it down. Okay, thank you. Now we will discuss about the prostate gland. So students, what prostate gland is located below the urinary bladder and it is always on pair, right? So the location of the prostate gland is below urinary bladder. This is the important one. See, we have drawn the urinary bladder. Below it there is unpaired prostate gland below urinary bladder and it is unpaired, right? So if you see where seminal vesicle, it was paired, but this is unpaired. Now seminal vesicle was directly and its duct was entering into the ampullary region. Now in this case, prostate gland is itself divided into 5 lobes. Okay, so if you see internally, it is divided into 5 lobes and these 5 lobes opens into, each lobe is opening into the urethra by 5 apertures, right? So these 5 lobes, it is divided into 5 lobes and it is opening into urethra, right? Opens into urethra by fine apertures. So basically this is going to secrete the secretion which will get empty into urethra. Now the prostate gland is secreting prostate fluid. Prostate secretion, right, is slightly alkaline. That means basic, and it is thick and milky. Now what is the composition of the prostate fluid and what will be the role of this prostate fluid? So this form 30% of the semen, right? 30% of semen is of prostate secretion. So 60 to 70% was of seminal fluid. 30% of the semen is formed of prostate secretion. Now prostate secretion includes, this prostate secretion is mainly including the things, for example, citrate is present in it, calcium is present, as well as phosphate is present. Okay, so these are the composition with it. Okay, clotting factors are also present. That means clotting enzyme, coagulating enzymes are also present. Clotting enzyme, and a very important one, fibrinolysins. This is very important. Okay, now see, prostate secretion is helpful in sperm activation. This is helpful in sperm activation. Okay, and basically see, it is slightly alkaline, thick, milky liquid, right? Now what happens? It mixes, see, sperm will travel through the vas deferens. With it, seminal fluid will join it. So sperm and seminal fluid, when passing through the urethra, another secretion also enters, that is of prostate gland. So it mixes with the sperm and seminal fluid. Okay, and what happens at that time? It coagulates. So coagulation occurs, and due to this coagulation, sperm motility gets reduced. So sperm motility, when sperm motility gets reduced, that means the energy of the sperm will get conserved. This sperm motility should get enhanced, but when it is needed. Right now sperm motility is not needed, so in this case coagulation will reduce sperm motility, right, and which conserves the energy. After that what happens? If I say, now there is a time to enhance the motility, this fibrinolysin which was present in prostate fluid, that fibrinolysins liquefies the semen, right, and due to that sperm motility enhances after some time. So this is the thing about the prostate gland and its composition. So basically, if you see, sperm now can move from one place to another very easily because it is now liquefied. So this is very important. Initially it undergoes coagulation to reduce the energy consumption, and then again it is liquefied. So now we will discuss about the bulbourethral gland or Cowper's gland. Okay, third is Cowper's gland, right? Third one is Cowper's gland. Okay, students. Now, if I say Cowper's gland, it is situated on the lateral side of the urethra. And see, this is also referred as bulbourethral gland. That is why it is also said to be bulbourethral gland. And as it is located on the lateral side of the urethra, it is actually situated or formed on the membranous part of urethra. Okay, so you have to remember that it is situated in the membranous part of urethra. Okay, part of urethra. So basically, if you see, it is located on the lateral side of the urethra and in the membranous part of urethra, and this opens into the penile part of the urethra. Opens into penile part of urethra. Okay, so this is about the location. Now the secretion of bulbourethral gland is not getting mixed with the semen. This is secreted before the ejaculation of the semen. So this is type of fluid which is jelly like, transparent, slimy and transparent, having slightly alkaline pH. pH is 7.2, slightly alkaline. Okay, so this is the thing. What will be the role of this fluid? So it is neutralizing the acidity of the urethra. So urethra is having acidic condition which is neutralized by this. So neutralizes acidity of urethra, right? Urethra. So for and cleans it, right? So sperm for movement of sperm. So this is about the use or function of the seminal vesicle. It is also playing the role in lubrication, right? It is also playing the role in lubrication during sexual intercourse. So this is the completion of accessory reproductive glands. Now we will discuss about the features of the semen. Okay, the last part is semen. So let us discuss about the semen. Semen is equal to, if I talk about what is semen, so semen is sperm plus the accessory reproductive gland fluid. Okay, accessory reproductive gland fluid. Okay, now if I say about this, the normal volume of semen is 3 to 4 ml of semen is ejaculated. That is the volume. Okay, volume. The pH of the semen is 7.3, right? That is pH. Now if I talk about this, during the single ejaculation, if the normal sperm count, if I say normal sperm count is approximately, right, 20 to 120 million per ml. That means 200 to 300 million of sperm is ejaculated during single coitus. How much? 200 to 300 million sperm is ejaculated during single coitus. Okay, during coitus. Now if I say in this, how much percent should show normal size and shape for normal fertility, then the 60% of the sperm, remember this, 60% of the sperm should show normal size and shape. Okay, and 40% of sperm sperm should show vigorous motility. Should show vigorous motility. Okay. So this is about the sperm, right? For normal fertility. Okay. For normal fertility, this is the requirement. Okay. Now if I say what happens if there is less than 20 million sperms count, right? Then it is referred as oligospermia. You have to remember, if the count is less than 20 million sperm per ml, that is referred, see this is per ml. If we see over here, you have to remember this is per ml, then it is referred as oligospermia. Okay. Now if I say if the person is not able to produce the sperm, or the sperm count is too slow, less, right? So absence or near absence of sperm, absence or near absence of sperm is called as azoospermia. Azoospermia. Okay. So basically there are many people whose sperm count is too low, or they are not able to produce the sperm. That kind of condition is referred as azoospermia. Now if I say the motility is slow, right? Slow motility of the sperm is referred as asthenospermia, right? And abnormal morphology is referred as teratospermia. Okay. This is all about the male reproductive system. Thank you.